has.
What?
Okay, so it goes like this, right? It sings. So why is there a button down here on her privates? And it... Okay, no. And it makes... Oh. Really?
Today is going to be the best day ever.
That's the sensor to press. So why is there this?
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres Herrera, and you are watching or listening to the JTH Show. Today, let's talk about hashtag Save the Children. But first, roll the intro. All right, everybody. And as a general reminder, remember, you can catch the entire podcast on one of the major platforms, either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. Okay, so, this video came about something I came across, the video that you saw at the beginning of the show, where, it was a video, for those of you guys listening, that essentially shows somebody that went to the store, got a toy off the shelf, and kind of ripped it open. It looks like they're still inside the store. And they did that because, it looks like they were probably going and checking out maybe something they saw themselves online somewhere or heard about. And it was about a doll. And for that matter, a doll that is supposed to represent a sort of famous, anime or rather a cartoon, or I don't know what you call it nowadays, animation, whatever it is, a kid's movie, The Trolls, right? And what she does is essentially show you that there's a button that she's shocked to find that is in the, what you would have, I guess, supposed to say the private area of the doll, right? And when you push it, it makes noises. So, naturally, it caught my attention. The hashtag, I've seen it around, and this specific video was attached to that. So I'm like, okay, let's see if maybe it's like, something that someone decided to do a prank on or something just to get famous. Because, you see that. You see that a lot, all right? So I started digging and going down this rabbit hole. And, of course, I came across all these crazy videos. However, I came across an interesting one that went more, I guess, in depth with the doll. It wasn't just at the store. It looked like they had it maybe in their desk somewhere. So that's the next video we're going to show. So let's roll that clip.
Down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds.
Oh.
Okay, so, all right, yeah. Right? It's clearly there, right? And maybe the first video they didn't do just, but this one is clear as daylight. Same doll. You can clearly see where the button is located. Now, before I go deep down where my thought was at, or my thoughts rather are at with this whole thing, let's first go to a news article that USA Today covered. And, on this, in my opinion and from my perspective, of course, you see USA basically saying, fact-checking, right? That's like the headline of the article. Fact-check, troll doll button in private, in quotations, area not intentional or part of kids, quote-unquote, grooming. Right? So you saw the video there of the little doll. The article goes on to say, like a social media uproar, and it breaks down kind of like everything surrounding the doll, what characters it's supposed to be portraying. At the end, what I found interesting is the fact that you have the USA Today saying we're fact checking, and they're saying it's partly false, and allegedly the reason they're saying that it's partly false is because there's, I guess, they don't really say why. They break down everything, including the toy manufacturer's comment, Hasbro, saying, hey, we didn't really realize that the button was in an appropriate placing, I guess. They even went as far as saying that the person that voiced the toy, I guess, they're like, oh, they didn't say anything harsh against Hasbro. Of course, nobody's going to want to lose their job over this. But yeah, it was totally inappropriate. I'm happy they're taking it off the shelves kind of thing. And then again, here in front of me, you can see them saying, oh, our research shows that the doll does have a giggle button located, quote unquote giggle button located in the area that could be referred as near a private part. It would be misleading, however, to suggest that the design was deliberately linked to grooming children for sex. Hasbro says that the button's placement was not intentional, but recognizes it may be perceived as inappropriate. Right? And then they say there it's partly false. So, again, because I went down this rabbit hole, I continue going through, many other instances. Can you toss this one off as, hey, it happens, is a airhead moment of the designers? Sure. But I know from also going and doing my own research that most toys, specifically those toys that are usually going to be priced in the area north of $9.99, $20.99 and above, anywhere in that range, they automatically go through what you would consider to be quality control, both for design and also for once it's actually manufactured, especially when it's going to have things like like sensors and stuff like that. Where this doll here, by the way, and I'll show you the doll very quickly, not only has a sensor near the tummy, right? But it also has that button, right? And here, let me roll that other clip again, so you can see how the lady again shows you the different sensors it has.
Really?
Today is going to be the best day ever.
That's the sensor to press. So why is there this?
Okay, so you saw that there, right? It has again the tummy one. It appears maybe even the foot somewhere, and then you call it the butt button. That's what it is, And yeah, they're saying that it's because you're meant to sit the doll down, and it's supposed to do those noises. Now, obviously, parents specifically in this case are finding it very disturbing because hey, I'm gonna give this doll to my kid, and allegedly in the box it doesn't say anything about this hidden button other than when they're gonna sit the doll somewhere, it's supposed to make these whining noises, not even saying full sentences, right? Or something, a phrase out of the movie. It's just, again, the noises you heard. So, you're gonna have people on both sides of the aisle, in my opinion. I think one, in my opinion, is gonna be maybe louder than the other, and that's the aisle. It's saying this is BS. Again, going back to my whole, there's a process control to this. Toy manufacturers, they invest a lot of money into making a lot of money. So they're careful with, what licenses they're paying for whatever movies they're trying to make toys for. Specifically Hasbro. Come on. Hasbro is, Barbie, all these other toys, right? They're huge. You're going to tell me that, hey, we just get whatever design and just kind of throw it on a molding machine and then just spit them out like nothing. Nobody ever sees them. Nobody, because it's just, we borrow designs from other toys. I try to look for maybe a borrowed design, for that matter, of this toy, and maybe if there's another toy in relation to this. I couldn't find anything, because it happens all the time. You see a lot of action figures that they all pretty much look the same, and it's because they use the same molding and they just paint on whatever they want on top of this one. Not for this one. This one was very specific, right? Another thing that I noticed. So you saw the toy, right? The toy looks like this. Okay, you're thinking that is the main character from Trolls, right? You're like, yeah, Poppy, I believe is the name. Wrong. This is actually Poppy. You see the difference? Yeah. So yeah, there's huge differences there. And why am I bringing this up? Well, because this is Poppy, this is Poppy, and this is Poppy, and in my opinion, this one is designed to look, in my opinion, again, different. I don't know if you want to call it prettier, sort of, verging on more human-like, more baby-like. I don't know. It's just weird. There's a big difference between the actual character and what the character looks like, and then what this doll was designed to look, right? So obviously, with this doll, the problems are coming up. I mean, they're pretty obvious, but for those of you guys again listening, with the button near the bottom, is that you're going to give it to a child and they're going to be pressing on that button and then potentially feeling like it's okay to do that to each other, for someone to do that to them. I mean, the hypotheticals can go on and they can get really dark, really ugly, really fast, specifically with everything that's going on right now, again, with the hashtag Save the Children, right? There's a lot of people that are going to say, be open-minded, come on, you're looking into this. Again, the other side of the aisle, right? Refusing to maybe see what concerned parents might be looking at. And that's fine. That's okay. They can say that, we're reading too much into this. So with that in mind, I decided to go further into, let's just see if this is not just, secluded just to these toys, right? Which, of course, it's not. So let's look at real quick at something from Disney. And a lot of you guys might have already have heard or seen this. And if you haven't, well, brace for impact. So for this particular article that I found, it was about the HuffPost. And, the main title reads, "Finally, the truth about Disney's hidden sexual messages revealed." Now, in my opinion, you would hope that anybody that considers himself to be a reputable source of information like the HuffPost, right? Because they're by no means a small, unknown, website with a few hundred, subscribers, like maybe, my page, my San Diego Tijuana Times.com page, right? No. The HuffPost is well known. So in the whole article, of course, what do? They did, simply a cleanup post, a cleanup spread. They do tell you about every single, well, not every single, but many of the known instances where people have said, hey, Disney, what the heck is this? And caught them, doing maybe some subliminal messaging. And every single one, at least in their article, is like, this is why. An explanation. Literally, it says an explanation. Including putting GIFs about oops and, Hakuna Matata GIFs, like saying, it's okay, it happens. Now, the funny thing that I found way towards the end, there was a guy, his name is Tom Cito, and this is the guy. Right, he's been in animation for years, and he's responsible for some of the oopsies, right, that have happened. Now, the funny thing that this article quotes him on, I guess they interviewed him, is he comes out and says the following, very, very straightforward, specifically in reference to an oopsie, right, or an inside joke, as he calls it, that occurred where Jessica Rabbit in the movie Roger Rabbit. You have the animated figure kind of is thrown from a car, and you can clearly see down her dress, right? And she is not wearing anything underneath the dress. Now, it's a couple frames, right? And only people that would I guess dig frame by frame, again, as he says, would have caught that. Later on, they remove that digitally. So the article reads in part, says towards the end here, the appearances can be deceiving, but reportedly not in this case. According to Variety, there was a run of copies of the movie after the word got out that the animators had Jessica Rabbit appear without underwear in a few frames. Later editions of Roger Rabbit were reportedly digitally altered to give Miss Rabbit appropriate coverage. Though Seidel didn't confirm that the scandalous scene, he explained that adding inside jokes into older films wasn't considered a big deal. He said, in pre-video and pre-VHS and VCR and stuff, people used to put little inside jokes into films because things were running at 1/24th of a second, said Seidel. So you say, well, nobody's seen anything. And then, so cartoonists, right, he says, will do that as a joke. But really, since the modern age of playing back stuff and everything, they look at everything now, even the old films. They'll go frame by frame, and they'll put those questionable things out all the time, right? At the end, it reads, when asked if he'd share any other inside jokes or hidden sexual humor, Seidel laughed. Well, if there was, he said, I'm not telling. It gives people something to do on a rainy day. And then the article closes off with, now that's what we call a happy ending. Wink. Again, since we're already kind of throwing out there, we're on the topic already of having, some sexual references. That's how I took it from the HuffPost, right? Again, a cleanup article. And by the way, on the other article, and I'll go back to it real quick, the USA Post Today one, I found there at the end where if you read right as they put their fact check sources, they put, our fact check work is supported in part by a grant from Facebook. Now you say, well, JT, what does it have to do with anything? Let's think about it for a second. What are some of the platforms consistently, point out for suppressing any kind of hashtag that possibly can expose pedos? Or, they call it conspiracy theories, right? But yeah, pedos out there online, right? If you would have put, 5, 4, 6 years, who knows, years back, something about Epstein, if you do that right now, I think you'll get suppressed. You'll get, the video gets taken down because it's going to be automatically flagged as a conspiracy theories. If anything, this video might do that on YouTube. But Facebook, right, is one of the top known platforms to do that among their social media apps, including Facebook in itself, WhatsApp, and Instagram, right? So what do? They go and write they go sponsor rather, the USA Today to say, hey, write an article, basically, fact checking this doll, so that we can basically plaster it all over our website every single time anybody, including, small creators, micro creators like me, do videos. If we can say, oh, just reference this article. This is, fact checking by the USA Today, which we paid for. In my opinion, it's a bunch of baloney. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. But okay, let's move on to another little, 2 examples rather, that I found very interesting. The first one is the movie Hercules, and you tell me if you see what I see. So first, let's roll that clip. Okay, so maybe you don't see it, maybe you do see it. I saw a bulging area that resembles the organs of a male, and I'm being PG here as much as I can because I don't know whose kids might be listening, and I'm not going to contradict what I'm trying to say here, but that's what it resembles, right? It resembles the bulging body parts of a man, all of them, what you would call shaft, twigs and berries, if you may, including what keeps spinning to look like a ring. Slow it down as much as you want. Look at it. You can tell me, JT, come on, man. Now you're just looking for it. Okay. I mean, it's been called out by other people, not just me. I didn't go watch all the Disney movies just to find things. I literally put a couple keywords on YouTube. Boom, videos popped up all over the place, right? So other people are seeing it too. But if that's not enough for you, let's go to another kids movie, basically. This is out of a movie from Happy Feet. So let's roll that clip first.
I'm sorry. That coming through,
Okay. So, in that clip, you see the 2 main characters essentially pose in different ways, 3 total that I counted, that would be probably considered very sexually inclined, right? If you had, per se, 2 naked bodies doing those same poses. JT, come on, they're animals. It happens. Oh, does it now? Oh, I mean, I've never seen it, not even and I've seen plenty of, in the wild TV shows, Natural Geographic. I've never seen, you see the real thing because they're animals and that happens. But, all these poses, whatever. Again, both 2 sides of this aisle. You're going to have people saying, you're reading into it, whatever. I don't even care. Hey, good for you. Good for you. However, I do see it, and many other people see it as well, right? When it comes down to these creators, and again, you just heard Mr. Seidel on an article saying, yeah, we do these hidden jokes. Hidden jokes. That's what they're putting it out as, right? It's a hidden joke. God, you're slowing down things and now you're pointing them all over the place. You're ruining it for the rest of us. So when I was talking to my wife today about this, she had her opinions about it, and she was like, yeah, I mean, until you told me, I kind of now see it. And I mentioned to her, many of the times you'll go into watching these movies, not thinking about it. In fact, here, let's put these Disney clips that you might have never seen, because you're just going into these movies, watching them, maybe even as a kid, your inner kid, maybe not really paying attention, not really understanding the messaging behind it, right? You have the one from supposedly Ratatouille, where for a couple frames, there is a man inside painting naked women. And then you have the classical Little Mermaid original cover box that has, again, a male body part in it. And that one was, by the way, owned up to and said, yeah, there was a disgruntled artist. You can Google it yourself. And then you have the very classic, Rescue from Down Under, the two little mice flying over, and then again, for a few frames there was an actual picture of that, right? So you have all these instances where you can say creators behaving badly, and unfortunately the big brands are suffering. Well, here's the way I look at it. One, the big brands, it's their responsibility to QA all this, right? You hear it all the time, that even movies are on hold because the big executives don't like little things. I mean, you hear that when it's convenient, they say that, oh, it's the executives. And then when it's not, it's like, oh, disgruntled employees, this Saito guy, playing his jokes. Damn, Saito, you rascal. And it's like, come on. Until how long are we, and I mean by me and anybody like me, and with children that really don't want to appreciate, and even if you don't have children, going to take this crap, right? From these creators pushing all that on, however they can with these inside jokes, right? On us. Because it's like, yeah, it's a kid film, and none of this belongs on anything that I just mentioned. When there are more adult, references on even like Avengers movies, you're like, well, it's still sort of like a kid's movie, but hey, I understand. It's meant to be more based on reality, and it's really, targeted more for PG-13 and above. I mean, sure, if little kids, watch it, it's really up to the parent, and I get it. It's not actual PG movie, so they drop the F-bomb here, the S-bomb there, whatever. This is nothing that I just showed you is that. All these are straight up PG, watch them from babies all the way to whatever, right? Older kids. And again, with all these, things in there, all these jokes that they're calling them. And in my opinion, like going back to what I was telling you about my wife, I was telling her, this is when it comes down to the triggers you are. If you haven't seen this, I don't say this. People much smarter than me have said this before. And I've read it, from books. We are basically a bag of emotions. And at any given point, those bag of emotions get triggered by the outside world. And I mean anything in the outside world. A lot of people are either too lazy, too undereducated to realize this. So we hope that every child out there in the entire world is hopefully living the best childhood they can possibly, have, free of any of this trash or worse. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. And unfortunately, some of the times you do have irresponsible parents or guardians that, a PG-13 or a rated R movie will be shown to the same kid that watches Aladdin or watches Hercules or watches any of the movies that I just showed. And triggers, because they're a bag of emotions and children are not the exception, will be triggered by whatever they're watching, they're absorbing, and then being triggered by that. And then when you have children that start talking about those rated R topics, or maybe even NC-17 level topics at 11, 12, some parts of society try to say, well, it's just the world we live in, let it be. And then at the same, time, people are like, man, how can we fix this? Is an epidemic, teenage pregnancies. Where do you think everything starts? From what they're exposed to. Now, anybody can mark me as a helicopter parent, as a parent that shields their kids, hey, listen, it's my responsibility to not only do it for my kids, but bring it to light, like in this case, and say, hey, this is some of the stuff that your kid can be potentially exposed to that maybe either you're too busy to not notice, or just, haven't really been, kind of like shown that this is out there. And it's not just someone reading into it. There are actual animators saying, yeah, it's an inside joke, right? But again, going back to my point that I've been repeating, there's going to be people on both sides of the aisle. I'm interested in knowing where you stand. I'm interested in knowing if you see what I see, if you don't think, if you don't agree, that's fine. I would definitely love to know because, well, let's face it, this is not the last time something like this is going to happen. And, either things like this are going to make the hashtag Save the Children stronger, because Save the Children, it's a very diverse hashtag. It's not just for the trafficking of children. It's not just for the clear, as clear as daylight instances where there are people like Jeffrey Epstein that have been prosecuted for child trafficking. No, it also includes anything that potentially that can be damaging to children, including subliminal messaging, right? Whether it be in music or clearly in the movies and entertainment that they're exposed to, right? Including obviously the toys the reason the whole damn videos about. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below. What is your opinion? I definitely want to hear other perspectives, and I definitely want to hear, if you guys think I'm online with this, let me know. Really, if you can take just 2 minutes to let me know, or give me a thumbs up, at least tell me that, yeah, I agree with you. If you don't want to type in a couple characters in there. Other than that, thanks for watching today. Sorry to be just another heavy-hearted topic, but I needed to get it out there. I like to do some deep dive sometimes into this and show you guys what I'm seeing out there. As always, like, subscribe, really, 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 really helps the channel. And then, yeah, until next time, see ya.